Ever wondered who was the first human being to kick a ball? The person who looked at a round object lying on the ground thousands of years ago and decided to kick it, and how that simple moment eventually became football. The most popular sport on Earth? Today, more than 5 billion people watch the World Cup. Entire nations stop what they're doing. Stadiums fill with tens of thousands of fans. The answer takes us on a journey through ancient empires, forgotten civilizations, and a mystery that stretches back more than 3,000 years. Because the story of football didn't start in a stadium. It started with one of the oldest human instincts ever, the urge to kick a ball, and a single goal can make millions of people celebrate or cry at the exact same moment. But where did it all begin? At some point in human history, somebody picked up a round object, dropped it onto the ground, kicked it forward, and discovered something surprisingly entertaining. Then another person tried it, then another. And before long, people started competing. Who could kick it farther? Who could hit a target? Who could get it past another person? What began as simple play slowly evolved into something much bigger. And while we may never know who kicked the very first ball, we do know where football's earliest ancestors appeared. To find them, we need to travel back more than 2,000 years to ancient China. Around 2,200 years ago, during the Han Dynasty, people played a game called Cuju. The name literally means kickball, and unlike what many people imagine, this wasn't some primitive game with random rules. Cuju was organized. It had teams, goals, referees, spectators, competitions. Players kicked a leather ball and attempted to send it through a small opening suspended between poles. Using your hands was forbidden. Skill, control, and precision were everything. Historical records describe emperors watching matches. Soldiers played it as military training. Professional players even existed. Think about that for a second. While much of the world was still developing early civilizations, people in China were already watching organized football-like competitions. But China wasn't alone. On the opposite side of the world, another civilization was developing its own version of a ball game, and they had absolutely no contact with China. In Mesoamerica, where modern-day Mexico and parts of Central America now exist, ancient civilizations created one of the most fascinating sports in human history. Archaeologists have discovered rubber balls dating back nearly 3,600 years. That makes these games older than many famous civilizations people learn about in school. The Maya and other Mesoamerican cultures built enormous stone stadiums specifically for ball games. Some of them still stand today. Players competed using a heavy rubber ball. In many versions of the game, hands were not allowed. Instead, players used their hips, thighs, and upper body to keep the ball moving. The courts were massive, the crowds were passionate, and in some cases the games carried enormous cultural significance. The details were different from modern football, but the core idea remained the same. Two sides, one ball, a goal, competition, pride, victory, and defeat. What's remarkable is that China and Mesoamerica developed these games independently. No internet. No ships crossing oceans, no communication, thousands of miles apart. Yet both civilizations arrived at similar ideas. That raises an interesting question. Why? Why does nearly every civilization seem to invent some version of football? The answer might be hidden inside the human brain itself. Humans are naturally competitive. For hundreds of thousands of years, survival depended on teamwork. Groups hunted together, protected each other, competed against rival groups. Because of this, our brains evolved to enjoy activities that involve cooperation and competition. Games became a safe way to practice those skills. Instead of fighting real battles, people could compete using rules, and football turned out to be one of the most effective ways to do it. You have a team, an objective, opponents, a challenge, and a reward. It activates instincts that humans have carried for thousands of generations. That is why football feels exciting even when you're just watching. Your brain becomes emotionally invested. When your team scores, you feel joy. When your team loses, you feel disappointment. Even though you're sitting on a couch hundreds of miles away, your brain treats the team as part of your group. As civilizations expanded, ball games spread across different regions. Ancient Greece developed games involving teams and territory. The Romans later played a game called harpastum. It was fast, physical, competitive. Roman soldiers loved it. And wherever the Roman Empire expanded, the game traveled with them, across Europe, across provinces, across cultures. When the Roman Empire eventually collapsed, the games didn't completely disappear. Instead, they evolved. Throughout medieval Europe, local communities developed their own versions of football. These matches were absolute chaos. There were often hundreds of players, few rules, and almost no safety measures. Entire villages would compete against neighboring villages. The goals could be miles apart. Games could last for hours, sometimes all day. To modern football fans, it would barely look like football, but beneath the chaos was something familiar. A ball, two sides, a contest, and a desire to win. Over time, people began creating more organized rules. Then came a moment that changed football forever. The year was 1863. In England, representatives from different clubs gathered to create a unified set of rules. This led to the formation of the Football Association. For the first time, football had an official rulebook. Many people mistakenly believed this was the moment football was invented. It wasn't. Football already existed. What England did was standardize it. They transformed hundreds of local variations into one game that everyone could understand and play, and that decision changed everything. The sport began spreading rapidly across Europe, South America, Africa, Asia, everywhere. Then came FIFA in 1904, then the first World Cup in 1930. Only 13 nations participated. Uruguay became the first champion. Nobody could have imagined what football would become. Today, football is played in virtually every country on earth. The biggest matches attract audiences larger than the populations of many nations. Players become global superstars. Clubs become billion-dollar institutions, and every 4 years, billions of people unite to watch the World Cup. Yet despite all the money, technology, and fame, football remains surprisingly simple. At its heart, it is still the same idea. A ball, a goal, a team, a crowd. The same ingredients that fascinated people thousands of years ago. Which brings us back to the question we started with. Who was the first human being to kick a ball? The honest answer is that we'll never know. Their name vanished long before history was written down. But maybe that's what makes the story so fascinating. That unknown person had no idea they were helping create something that would survive for thousands of years. They couldn't have imagined stadiums holding 80,000 people. They couldn't have imagined the World Cup, or Lionel Messi, or Cristiano Ronaldo, or billions of fans watching matches on screens around the world. They were probably just having fun. But from that simple action, one kick, one moment, one idea, something extraordinary began. A tradition that crossed continents, survived empires, outlived kingdoms, connected civilizations, and eventually became the most popular sport humanity has ever known. The players changed, the rules changed, the stadiums changed, but the feeling never did, because football was never really about the ball. It was about competition, community, hope, and the simple joy of trying to score one more goal than the other side. And that feeling has been bringing people together for thousands of years.